All right, well, we're going to be live now for the Community Preservation Committee meeting. We still have two more members that saying that they're going to be attending. But since I might as well go ahead and possibly read this for the last time for the CPC meeting, the remote participation. Text, due to the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic, Governor Baker issued an emergency order temporarily suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law. Public bodies otherwise governed by the OML are temporarily relieved from the requirements that meetings be held in public places, open and physically accessible to the public, so long as measures are taken to ensure public access to the body's deliberations through adequate and alternative means. This meeting will be broadcast live on Channel 8 and on Zoom. The public may participate remotely by following the call-in information on the bottom of the live broadcast screen. For Zoom meeting information relating to remote participation, please contact Cindy Knox, the IT manager at it@ayer.ma.us, or call 978-772-8220, extension 123, or Carly Antonellis, assistant town manager at atm@ayer.ma.us, or call 978-772-8220, extension 149, prior to the meeting. All right, so this meeting now has been called to order. And if I can have the members introduce themselves, who is on, myself, Jana Providakis, chair, and Julie.
I'm Julie Murray, and I'm representing the planning board.
All right, Jess.
Jessica Gino for Conservation Commission.
Okay, Barry.
I'm Barry Schwarzel, representing the Ayer Historical Commission.
Okay, Jason.
Jason Mayo, representing the Park Commission.
All right, Beth. All right, Beth.
She's muted.
Yeah, I know. And she's, yeah.
Sorry about that. I thought I was unmuting. Beth Sidmeyer, member at large.
All right, and like I said, we know that we'll get Colleen Kreiser coming in, another member at large. She is on her way. So hopefully this will be our last Zoom meeting. So we'll keep our fingers crossed that we can go ahead and meet up again at Town Hall. That will be nice. Oh, I forgot, I called the meeting to order. I forgot those words. All right, Jess? Hey, what can I say? These are comfortable meetings. All right, everybody have a chance to review the minutes of our last meeting, which was May 5th. I don't have any corrections, additions, or edits. Anybody else?
No, I don't.
Okay. All right, can I hear a motion to accept the minutes as written, please?
So moved.
I'll second.
Okay, so that was Julie and Barry. All in favor? Julie,
Aye.
Barry,
Aye.
Jason,
Aye.
Beth? Oh,
Aye.
yeah. Okay, yep. And Jess?
Aye.
And the chair says aye. I'll accept it. Sounds great. Okay, correspondence and bills. I'll be honest with you, there really hasn't been much other than the items that we'll be talking about in current business for any type of correspondence. I think just had a cat go across her screen. Mine's still staying comfortable, so I'm gonna keep my fingers crossed. So has anybody else? Oh, is that what's going on? All right.
What?
No, Jason is muted because the senior parade is passing by the house. So there is, when I hear the sirens going, it's like, okay, great, what am I, the guys doing? But that's nice to know that they were able to get fire and a nice parade. So that's good. So that must mean Beth will be hearing it too as well. All right. So again, did anybody else have any type of correspondence that they, nothing else that for anybody else? I'm gonna pause too to see whether or not there's any other public participants that would like to go ahead and speak up for the meeting. I don't see anybody else for being on the list of participants. Always remember that if you have any questions as you're viewing this, you can give a call over to Town Hall. They can get the question to me or to one of the other members here, and we can go ahead and reply back either via email, phone call, or during their next meeting. Okay, I'm moving along. Like I tried to always do. Next on it is the community preservation plan. Everybody should have received the two quotes that received from the Community Opportunities Group as well as J.M. Golson. Just to start a little bit more of the conversation, I know Julie, Mark Archibald went ahead and, sent us information with regards to a possible grant and everything. I know that I touched base with him to go ahead. Oh, here's Colleen. I know that I touched base with him saying that it would be nice to have some sort of meeting, but I never really followed back up with him and he didn't reply back.
Yeah.
Okay, because no matter what, whichever one we're going to be looking at and choosing, we don't have the money in the budget. So with that, we've got like the 5,000. So I'm asking Robert, Lisa came back, the town accountant, she came back to say, no, it really, in her eyes, it has to be a warrant on the fall town meeting. And I'm getting clarification from Robert too as well that we can't use any of the other due diligence monies and such. So I'm sorry, I didn't really realize that. It would have been good if we put that in for the Springtown meeting, but no matter who we choose, we then have got to, it looks like we're going to have to take it to town meeting to get funding approved to do this. How's the parade going? Beth, do you have any feedback with regards to prior years? Does anything ring a bell?
So just regarding the experience?
The experience and also too the request to town meeting. Does that ring a bell that that's what had to happen prior for the last?
Yeah, so we just used administrative funds, I believe, the last time, but it may be that the costs are just higher this time, so it triggers a threshold that requires more than what we have in administrative funds, or if it's a procurement policy that, Robert has discretion over as procurement officer, I'm not sure. I don't know what would be motivating and who did you say said it needs to go to town meeting?
Lisa,
Okay.
town accountant. Like I say, I haven't heard back from Robert. And I know, it's over $10,000. But again, our administrative funds that we put aside is only 5,000. So I believe it might have been, maybe it was more for administrative funds put to the side in prior years. But no matter what, like I say, we're looking at two quotes, one at 15, one at a little over 20,000. So with that, it's definitely over the 10,000 amount for procurement. So, so keep that in mind that as of now, we're going to have to go to town meeting to request these funds for this community preservation 5-year plan.
Are these quotes set to, do they have an expiration indicated? I haven't gotten a chance to take a look at them that closely.
No, it doesn't. I did not see anything that said an expiration, but what I'll have to do is when I reply back to the two companies, I would have to tell them that it's going to, again, we could almost put them on retainer because we do have the $5,000 and say, okay, we'll pay you $5,000 up front. And then get additional funds for after town meeting. I don't know if they want to take the chance to do that, but that can be one of our options. But I didn't see anything for, this is only good for 2 months or whatever. Okay, so like I said, I wanted to give everybody a heads up on that. In reviewing, they pretty much focused in on the scope of work that we focused in on and developed. I know the Community Opportunities Group, COG, has done prior work on the master plan, as well as they've, I know Roberta Cameron is very busy, or has been involved in community preservation in her town, as well as housing in her town. She's on the affordable housing board. So I've been seeing her at quite a few different meetings. And they both have pretty much kept with the scope of work. Jen had originally did our community preservation plan that has expired, and hers, like I say, COG is at, I believe it was $15,000, and Golson is at the 20,100. She did add a couple of other meetings, making it 6 meetings that she'd like to have with the group, as well as using more of the GIS data, to the GIS mapping, to make sure that we have the area that's available to us for possible open space and such.
Jan?
Yes.
Is there any value to her familiarity? Can't say that word very well. Familiarity with our projects and our people and our town and our priorities with Golson.
With Golson. I'm gonna say I don't believe so. COG really has been involved more recently. So with that, there be Roberta was on the mutual, the master plan, and that was just developed back in 2017-18. So she, go ahead.
Just a question that I had. I didn't see the number of meetings that COG had indicated they would provide. The public forum is indicated specifically, but I don't see the number of meetings, and meetings cost a lot. So I think that's one of the points that we should definitely be sort of scrutinizing. I also really do.
Could I just interject, Beth?
Yep.
It doesn't say a number of meetings, but in the second paragraph, it says this quote assumes monthly working meetings with CPC in addition to public and stakeholder engagement.
So it would be 6 then, because they have a 6-month limit on their CPC, or they have a 6-month limit on the time frame. And if they're saying they'll meet with CPC monthly, it would be 6 CPC meetings, I guess.
And additional meetings with the public and stakeholders.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So it's going to be 6+.
So can I ask a question? Because I couldn't really tell from looking through the proposals. What are the
Right.
big differences between them that accounts for that $5,000 difference in price? Because I couldn't see anything that, again, I didn't probably pick them apart as much as, Jess.
Yeah, one thing I noticed is in the COG, they're quoting consultant rate of hourly rate of $150. And in Jen Goldson's, she's quoting an hourly rate for herself at $200 and for another person at $175 an hour. So that would, I think, that I think would account for some of the differences. And then there's a third assistant at $90 an hour. So.
Yeah, I think that's one thing. And also too, like I said, Jen added the GIS mapping. And that would be more for what's available for either open space or buildable land. Am I right? Isn't that what GIS mapping would do, Jess? Yeah, okay, Julie.
But it would also help with identifying any town-owned properties that could be used for housing or any other utilization as well. So I really do like the GIS component. And I don't know, we could also ask COG if they can add a GIS component so that we'd have, something that's a little bit more balanced. The other thing is I didn't get a chance to look at resumes and things like that either. And if we aren't going to be making a decision until being able to fund it at October town meeting, I wonder if we could have a little bit more time to look them over. We could also develop questions that we might have for them. And are we thinking about doing interviews?
We could. I was, yeah, I mean, we could to have them join one of our meetings. That would be good. All right.
Yeah, I mean, I think especially since we have until October before we can make a decision, I think the more we can think carefully about it and what makes sense, because at the price point, if there's not really a difference in the work that they're doing and the qualifications, we should be going with the cheaper one. But I think we can look at why there are those differences and whether there's any added benefit.
Okay. All right, then what I'll do is, again, I'll get feedback from Robert as well as, seeing what's going on. I can tell both companies that we'd like to go ahead and do an interview, possibly do, give everybody a chance for questions. Do you want to meet and talk about these questions beforehand and see if we can interview them in August? How's that sound?
I think that makes sense to have a common set of questions that we want to ask of each of them, just so that we know we're getting equivalent information.
All right, anybody else's feedback?
Sounds good.
I think making sure that, we're prepared to, handle each interview in parallel or, like consistently with the questions predetermined and definitely let them know that we're not, we're not looking for something really involved and in depth. We realize this is a pretty small contract and we don't want to, like scare them away by asking them to spend too much time with us or anything right at the selection process. So, but, you could check with Robert too and see if, going through this process, only having two quotes, if he feels like the interview is an appropriate, step to take with that kind of a selection process. But I think it would be helpful.
Okay. And then I'll find out whether or not we might be able to get a interview virtually instead of, instead of in person.
Definitely. Right. So there's an extension now, I guess, until September for virtual meetings. So we should be able, like we have the flexibility, and then it'll depend on what the legislature decides, I guess, moving forward, whether or not virtual continues to be an option.
Oh, I didn't know that. Nice.
Yeah, but for now, definitely can, at least for these consultants, plan on it being virtual.
Okay. So,
I think some boards have also found there's more public participation or viewing through Zoom and TV than in person.
Definitely. There's no question that it's easier to be a participant as, an applicant or a public resident that's interested in the project when you don't have to sit through the whole meeting to find out when you're going to come up on an agenda and that kind of thing. So
Go out into your car on a cold night or rainy night and lose your impetus.
hire a babysitter.
I was just gonna say that, hire the babysitter. Yeah. Or a cat sitter.
Or any type of caregiving.
All right. Okay. So what I'm going to do is, like I said, I'm going to follow up with Robert, see what our alternatives can be with regards to the selection process as well as funding. And then in July, I'll put down the agenda that we'll go ahead and everybody review, the contracts and such, of what they said they're gonna state and do. Any type of questions, any type of changes that we'd like to go ahead and make, like add the GIS component to COG. And then we'll plan for some sort of interviews in August, where we'll make sure that they both have an opportunity to present their plan to us. Does that make sense? That sound like a plan?
Mhm.
All right. Okay. Is there anything else we want to discuss on that? All right, moving on. Sandy Pond School update. I put that on here just so that I could go ahead and put Barry on the spot. Has Irv reached out to you at all or anything? Is there been, oh, you're on mute.
Yes, he did, and we spoke, and I think we both agreed that the Falmouth Historic Preservation restriction was a good one to follow, and he was gonna take that up and run with that, and I offered if he needs anything from me, whether it be some input on the Falmouth preservation restriction, to let me know. So, and that's how we left it.
Okay. Do you know when he's going to get back in touch at all, or?
I have not, no, I don't. But I can give him a call this week, where it was just last week.
Okay. All right, and were you going to go ahead and check on some prices on some of those?
Oh, that's right, Erie landmarks,
What? Say that
Erie
again?
landmarks, and I did not get prices, but
Okay,
you jog my memory, I will make sure I do that this week.
excellent.
I'm not hearing right. What kind of landmarks?
That's the
Oh, it's
name-
called, I'm sorry, go ahead, Jim.
No, go ahead. I'll let you finish.
The name of the company is Erie, ERIE
Okay.
Landmarks, and we wanted that for, plaques for, let me see now. Oh, God, it's tough when you hit 70, you just can't think anymore.
Getting close.
71, actually. And when we wanted the Erie landmarks was going to be a plaque for where now? Where were we going to put that?
It's going to be sort of like where the National Registry plaque is on the Sandy Pond School, to go ahead and be for the CPC funding.
Oh, right, okay. I'm sorry.
That's
Yeah,
okay.
I'll do that this week. All right, I will, and we've used them before, and as Janet said, it's looking at a plaque typical or similar to what's on the Sandy Pond Schoolhouse.
Mhm. Because this way here makes it more permanent. We do have the wooden ones, but again, this way.
They generally run around $300. If you look at what's at Sandy Pond, that was around $270 to $300 for that one.
All right. And when you talk with Irv, make sure he's aware of that too as well, because I know he was going to be looking for some pricing.
Okay.
All right. Okay, and anybody else have any questions or updates with regards to Sandy Pond?
Mm-mm.
I mean, okay. All right, other than that, the beach is open, but I'll let Jason get to that after. Ayer Community Garden update. I think I told everybody that they are under the auspices of the growing group, Growing Places. And with that now, all bills, I think I told everybody in the last meeting, all the bills need to go through them. So it's been quite a email back and forth between the company, between town and Sheila. So I've just been watching it as it goes by, being a CC'd individual. So pretty much, I wanted to make sure that I covered that. So that's all. There's really nothing else new with regards to Sandy Pond. I mean, with regards to Air Community Garden. All right. Is there anything else for old current business that people wanted to bring up? I'm hearing crickets. I'm going to move on to new business, which, as you can tell, I really don't have anything there other than, oh, wait a minute, go back to home business. I have been, trying to find out a little bit more information with regards to the old firehouse. Again, with Calvin not doing well, we just want to make sure that they've only spent the 30,000 and with the nothing has been touched of the 190. So we'll find out a little bit more about what's going on. Again, we wish Calvin and his family well, with him not feeling well. All right, and okay, so that was that. New business. No one that I have come across have come asking for any type of additional funds or funds for CPC. I know that the Affordable Housing Committee and will probably let the new Board of Trustees come forward requesting monies. They are going to be looking for rental assistance for some individuals that may be with the eviction notice moratorium ending. So with that, we may be getting some, like I say, some requests, but the Board of Trustees will be looking at the 30,000 that CPC gave them beforehand. So again, I haven't really heard of anybody other than that committee to come forward for additional funds. Has anybody heard anything throughout the town of projects that, go ahead, Jess. Up, you're on mute.
I think that was my cat. One of the things, with CPC, if the town through conservation owns a really teeny little piece of property on Flanagan Pond, off of Old Sandy Pond Road.
Yeah.
That little turnoff. And it looks like we own land going out into the water as well. Joanne, our agent, was thinking, if we could find out if that was a viable area to put a sort of boardwalk, would that be something CPC could fund?
Yes.
Okay.
As long as it's open to the public.
Well, that the whole idea is to try to get more public access there.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I know that one of the other questions that has come up that we dealt with 2 years ago, I think it was, is the high school field. And I've sent my name to Dr. Malone, who will be leaving, but I told them if they are interested to coming forward, let us know. Just can't build, and we can't pay for any type of building or stadium, but we can help. However, I have to put a big caveat in there. The CPC funds are for the town of Ayer. So it'd have to be Ayer's portion that we'd be able to help with. I know that I've been in touch with Stuart over at the coalition, and he goes, it's going to be tricky, but we'll see what they might come up with. Again, about 2 years ago, the group did ask, and we did get some paperwork, but because of it being voted down in Shirley, it just never went any further. So now that Shirley passed it, let's see on how things move forward.
One more question then.
Uh-huh.
Jason, remember back in the old days before the pandemic, there's a little undeveloped, not buildable lot off of Snake Hill Road, sort of kitty corner diagonal across the street from the town beach. And hadn't Parks been talking about maybe trying to create a boat access for kayaks or canoes to Sandy Pond along that edge and maybe using that property for a few parking spots or something? Has anything ever been talked about further?
No, not since the last time we talked about it.
Yeah.
I mean, we've been kind of preoccupied trying to get the beach open, but I mean, if we can get that land and put a parking lot in there, we do have the space to make a corridor, so we can up those talks again for sure.
Okay.
That would be nice because we'd be able to, like I say, these are things that we can fund. So,
Yep. Yeah, and we're supposed to do the study on the feasibility study. We got the funding for it last year to do the feasibility study for the remediation and replacement of the Kitty Junction. So we got to do that this year, and obviously we're going to be looking for CPC funds to help with that when we get there. But that, that won't be, I don't even know, maybe next year or the year after.
Replacement of what was that?
The playground down at the Pony Park, Kitty Junction.
Pony Park. Yeah.
yeah, that would be nice. Because I know that there's been discussion on social media lately.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so.
Yeah, we have to placate the discussion on social media before we do anything else. That's that sets our priority.
And no, it does not. Never mind, I won't even go there. All right. Okay, so for new business, we do have some projects that we need to go ahead and look a little bit further into. So that sounds great. How about anybody else for anything that they've been hearing? No?
Just one thing that I could give as an update later, but since it could potentially involve Ayer contributing some funds to the development of such an initiative in the future, I'll just mention that we're having discussions within the Wild and Scenic group and sort of overlapping with Ayer open space planning about potentially a boat launch that would be on the National Wildlife Refuge off of McPherson Road. And the boat launch, I guess, has a number of sort of feasibility challenges associated with it. So this would be a launch, onto the Nashua River. But there's also the potential for a riverside path that would be on refuge land. And so, the refuge is saying that they're, overstretched both financially and with staff. And if they were going to do something like this, they'd really be seeking a partnership with Devons and Ayer in order to do something like this. But I think it's a really, really great potential. And so, as the discussions continue, we'll keep folks informed. But, I think in order for it to move forward, we would probably be looking at both a Devons and an Ayer contribution in some way. And I really think that somehow creating a more pedestrian and bicycle friendly sort of path parallel to McPherson Road. I know it's not wide enough to necessarily have a multi-use path or a sidewalk even, but that's such just a beautiful stretch along the river. And to have this connection to like downtown Ayer and that access point along the river with the wildlife refuge, I think would be really nice. So just stay tuned for more information.
All right. The only thing I'd go ahead and just tell you, Beth, again, would need to know where Ayer land ends and Devons begins. McPherson pretty much is all Devons, while Bishop is the one that is Ayer. So,
right. So it would be
okay.
that connection piece. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I just to make sure, set the level playing field or whatever.
Eligible projects.
Yep. But no, that would be great to get that connection. That'd be nice. All right. Okay, if there's nothing else, then we can just move on with committee reports. I'm just going to go to Jess. conservation? You guys have been busy.
Yeah, we're busy processing lots of applications, struggling to, there's a lot more we could do, but we just don't have the staffing. And I would just note that I did hear Dennis Coran's comments at a Board of Select meeting back in few meetings ago about how there's no zoning enforcement. And I just want to point out that some of the departments or boards that are dealing with the town's growth and land use, which would include conservation, planning, the building department. You know, the town's growing. Town hall is not kept up with, in some ways, with the ability to handle that growth on the human end of things. And so I know it's hurting our commission, and we're having some burnout issues. But there are a lot of projects, you know, like Boardwalk, et cetera, we'd like to have time to turn to, and also open space. But again, we have statutory responsibilities we have to fulfill first. So we're stretched.
Mm-hmm. Well, if there's
And actually, if there were ever town follow-up on Mr. Coran's comments, I would say it has to be a little bit broader discussion to deal with those areas in the town that are dealing with growth and expansion. Julie's nodding.
Yeah,
yeah.
I really hear that, Jess. That's really, I've never really thought about, I mean, clearly on planning board, I see a lot of the growth in our town and what we're kind of fitting in, but I've never really thought about it in terms of the employees and the people we have to work for the town as it grows. That's an interesting point. Thanks, Jess.
And of course, during the pandemic, as has been noted in many different formats, the stress placed on Cindy Knox and APAC has been, you know, to keep things going the past year and a half has been great, but they have risen to the occasion. But
Man, one good comment followed by another. I'll second that one.
all right.
It is true, they have risen, yeah. What about, well, is there anything you think that we can do, being, you know, a group of the 5 committees, you know, from the 5 department, you know, boards and such, that CPC might be able to do, of writing, you know, writing a letter or something? I mean, I'm just trying to think of what,
I'll keep you posted on that. We do have some meetings coming up, but and I'll find out more.
all right,
Yeah.
yeah, because if there's something that we might be able to do, like stand outside with picket signs, I don't know. Never mind, I was
Or
thinking,
Janet, in that vein of a question, can our funds ever be used to do some of the legwork if the ideas of things that our funds could help with can't get off the ground?
let me research that.
I don't know. It's a stream of conscious question. I don't
Yeah.
really,
Yeah,
but I guess if it's about having the workload and being able to get to these projects, if our priority and our funds are there to do certain things, maybe our funding needs to support how to get there.
I don't know that CPC funding could be used for, I'm pretty sure it couldn't be used for.
It can be used, I think, for something like implementation of the open space plan. You know, like if you want to hire a consultant to do some of the legwork, to outreach to landowners, and to you know, help with just communications and public relations and things like that. You know, that sort of thing. We had discussed hiring Jen Goldson to do that after she had originally written the first CP plan. And so, you know, it has been something we thought about before. I think then, you know, like we kind of had the increase in hours for conservation agent, happening, and then the hiring of a planner, and, all of these changes that have happened over the, recent history as, more growth has happened. Unfortunately, the budget has sort of accommodated those increases. I completely understand where staff is at and the burnout, though. There's been such a flood of applications, I think, everywhere. It's
Yeah.
really insane right now. And, I do definitely commend everybody for sticking with it through this, because it's not easy. I know.
You would think that with the pandemic, things would have slowed down, and, and the applications that we processed last year during the pandemic were actually up from the previous year. And I think some of that is people being home, starting to do home projects.
Mhm.
And in our case, that, also have to be reviewed just as seriously as a subdivision.
Yeah.
So,
Absolutely. It's been pretty insane.
All right. Well, what I'll do, like I say, I'll take it upon myself to go ahead and do a little more research. Like Beth is saying, with regards to hiring a consultant to help out, as well as I know it can be used, I believe, for feasibility studies and such, to go ahead and fund that. So let me go ahead and see what I can find out from the coalition too as well. So thank you for bringing that up, Jess and Julie. Again, when you're not, involved, that's why it's good to have this committee. So you can go ahead and get that sense. All right, Julie, seeing that, we're moving right on to, let's go planning. Good. Go ahead.
So we concluded the site plan review and special permit for McDonald's, so that will be moving forward.
we
and-
did too on that one.
Yeah, yep. So that'll be good if you get hungry and are in the Rotary at some point, but down the road. And we're still working with the subdivision for 0 Washington Street, currently being called Panther Place, but thankfully might be being called something different in the near future. But 0 Washington Street is the main thing we were working on.
I've asked, I see Stratton Hill's going to be coming before you this month. Do you know when?
I don't, but I know it's not on our agenda for next week.
Okay.
So, and I won't be at that meeting, so, but I'm clearly keeping my ears out and hearing what's going on.
Okay.
All right, thank you. Barry.
Yes, last time we talked about the mass memories, and I sent the link to you. And did you get a chance to send that out to everybody else? And anybody had a chance to look at that?
I haven't. I'm embarrassed. I haven't had a chance.
No, it's just curious. That's all.
Mm.
But Maggie, as of our last meeting, Maggie was going to get a hold of Carol Goldstein at UMass and tell her that we do want to go ahead with the mass memories, and now it's just a matter of getting people together and what's our strategy to bring more people involved and get this project off the road. The other project.
Julie,
Oh,
what did
sorry, go ahead.
Julie, what'd you say?
Sorry, I was just saying that project sounds awesome. That was
Yeah.
really cool. So I'm glad that's moving forward.
And last Wednesday, because of the 12,500 grant that we got from Mass Historic, we had a project coordinators meeting led by Michael Steinitz from Mass Historic and Peter Stock. And it's quite the schedule is pretty tight. In fact, we've got to have our scope of work submitted by the end of June, and the advertisement for bids by early July, and then a consultant in place by September. And then everything has to happen between the beginning of September 2021 and the project is all done in September of 2022. So, and we've got, landmarks along the way or that we've got to hit to make this project come to fruition. So
Nice,
that's so we've got an aggressive schedule.
keeping you busy.
Yes.
Okay. All right, Jason, are you there still?
Yeah, I'm still here. I had to relocate because the parade was coming back through. But so big thing for parks is the beach. We opened. We opened actually late because of the weather, but we did end up opening on Monday, and we'll be open. Obviously, the rest of the summer we'll open every day after school gets out. We're going to be sort of adjusting things as we go through the summer, as the restrictions and things ease up. So obviously we had a set of restrictions in place before the mask mandates and all the other restrictions that the governor lifted, I think earlier than any of us thought. So, you know, we're still going to have our staff masked up. We're going to ask anybody that's not vaccinated to mask, but we're not going to police it. We're not going to paint sections like we had before. We're just going to try to eyeball distancing. We got to go ahead to restrict it to Ayer residents only this summer. If the restrictions being lifted, we're going to keep that in place just to limit the crowds as much as we can. So it's going to be Ayer resident only. If people have like a situation where they have like a grandparent from out of town watching their kids during the day, you know, they can contact Jeff. They can contact the Parks Department and in writing, and we can take it case by case to see if we can grant any waivers. But so yeah, that's the big thing there. Other than that, we hope to be back to normal. And we got a couple things that we talked about earlier that we'll pick up again now that we kind of can start focusing on other things and not just pandemic response.
Is it open daily now, or is?
No, it's only open on the weekends now. So we open generally we open Memorial Day, and then once school gets out, it opens up on a daily basis. And part of that is because our lights staff is our students, so we don't necessarily have the staff, but we don't have the same amount of people every day.
Right.
Once summer hits and school is out, then we have the families come down. Other than that, we don't really have the demand to justify having the staff down there.
When is school?
Just any random day. June 18th is the last day of school.
Thanks, Jess. I was going to ask that. So.
It's a few more weeks.
Jason, I do have a question. And thank you. I'm so glad to hear, you know, that the beach is going to be open. Is it still the case that when it's not actually open, that the like fence, or not a fence, but some kind of a partition gets put up so that people aren't supposed to like be at the sand or at the water's edge? Is that still going to be in place, or is there a way that, you know, during non-open hours that it's still possible to get to like the water's edge?
Yeah, that was like that was like a temporary weather fence, really, that we just put up there. Usually that comes down, and we keep it down. We have signs, you know, no swimming during, you know, the off hours when there's no lifeguard in place. So, you know, we can't stop people from doing it. People may do it, but yeah, that partition shouldn't be up there. So you should be able to go down to the water.
Okay, good.
Don't go swimming.
Just wanted to clarify, because in terms of like a public access, it's a great pond and town property and everything. So that's great. Thank you.
Yeah, and because it's a great pond, we had to consult with, and we had funding from the state to develop the beach and everything. We had to talk to our town council to see if we could make the policy of limiting it to Ayer residents only. Yeah, obviously in the past few years, we've been charging non-residents, which was okay. But this year we just said Ayer only, just to keep the crowds as small as possible. And I don't see us lifting that this year. I think we're going to stick with that through the rest of the summer.
And for Ayer residents, just for public information, it's free, but you have to show your residency how?
So obviously a license is good. You know, you don't always have a license. You could go get a dump sticker, or you can get a beach parking pass at the clerk's office. For kids, it's obviously different. You know, we can't possibly know that. So if a person shows up, an adult from Ayer shows up with kids from another town, we can't determine that. But
But everybody has to get that beach parking pass.
to park at the beach, yes.
Yeah.
To go to the beach, no. Yeah, I mean, you could walk down to the beach. Just, you know, please have your ID with you to verify your residency.
Or boat.
Sorry?
Do you need a special parking pass, or in the past, I thought the dump sticker?
Yep.
If you
Yep,
had a
that
dump
works.
sticker, it counted.
And it still does. It still works. But if you don't have a dump sticker, like a lot of people don't, you can go down and get a parking pass from the town clerk. Just like a parking sticker that shows you're a resident. And I believe you need that sticker for the streets around downtown, right? So it's like that same pass that you can get to park like down Pearl Street and Pleasant Street at the bottom of those streets.
Yep, you need to
So
be.
that'll work.
Yeah, verify your town resident. Yep.
Yeah. But your dump sticker's fine. Your dump sticker's perfectly fine.
Okay. Very good. Thank you.
All right.
Yep.
Okay, for housing, the Housing Authority did not have a meeting in later part, you know, think about, I think we met early May before this, before we had our May meeting. But then we also, we're going to meet later on, but we haven't. So that will probably happen sometime in June. And then the Affordable Housing Committee, we're going to be having a joint meeting with the Board of Trustees for the Housing Trust. That's going to happen June 30th. We pushed it out to make sure that we could hopefully meet in person. So with that way here, we can then start, like I say, getting plans in place. What are some of the new tasks that are going to be happening, as well as different education opportunities to learn. I think, Colleen, you received the emails that for the next 3 Thursdays, Mass Housing Partnership is going to be having a housing, virtual housing seminar that will discuss different components of housing. They normally have that over a few day period over at Devon's, but they're doing it now virtually for every Thursday. Like I say, for the next 3 Thursdays, it's about 3-4 hours long. So I'm looking forward to that too as well, because it helps break down affordable with a big A and affordable little a and 40Bs and all the other opportunities that can be available for a town. So I think that works out good.
Can I ask you a quick question about that? I was going to email you. Is it problematic, or is it structured in such a way that you don't have to go for the entire time? Unfortunately, I'm teaching a summer class, and from 1 to 2 every Thursday I have office hours. So that was set before those emails came out, but I'd like to go to, parts if I can.
You can go to parts. That's why, when you see the itinerary, of everything all broken down, if there's certain items that you really like, you can just go to those. That's it. Just like if you were, if they did have some sort of seminar that you got to go, you went into this room instead of that room. So.
Okay, awesome.
It may be available after the fact as well. So then you could still see all of it that you may have missed. Yeah.
Correct.
And that's it at the Devon's?
No, it's not. It's now going to be virtual. It used to be at Devon's.
Okay.
Okay, but it still will be virtual this year.
Okay.
Okay. And the housing production plan has been sent to the state, and the state only had one little correction, or addition, which was made. So it looks as if the state has accepted our housing production plan. So that is awesome, because that helps us keep some of the unfriendly 40B contractors away. So. All right, that's it for housing. Beth, anything else you want to add with regards to open space?
just to say this all, I mean, congratulations on the housing plan and everything. So much, good news in town here. So, I'm really happy to hear about all these developments. And I think in the last meeting minutes, they reflected that the Wild and Scenic had issued their grants and that the Conservation Commission had been awarded the grant for the signs project, which is really exciting. I'm looking forward to that. And then I mentioned, some of this ongoing discussion about our saga of trying to pursue Nashua River access from the town of Ayer. So we'll just continue to look, into those options and keep you posted. So Joanne, has been involved in those kinds of conversations, as well as Faith Salter in town. So
Yeah, we have repeatedly mentioned Faith Salter for her invaluable help to conservation on that grant application and helping us form an action plan for tasks.
right, definitely, it's been great.
It's nice when someone can keep you on track.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's great. All right, that's it? All right,
That's all.
okay. All right, and Colleen, I know that you're going to be giving us updates as of June 30th.
Next meeting.
You got it. That sounds good. Talk about next meeting. We're heading into July. What are we looking at for schedules?
It's July 7th is our meeting.
So that does well for everybody? Okay. All right then. So we've got July 7th at 7. 7.
Janet, well, I know you had talked about the housing trust meeting in person. Is the thought that by that meeting we'll be back in person, or will we be continuing virtual meetings for the time?
I mean, again, we're supposed to hear from town council by June 15th. And with that, I will be sending out an email to say whether or not it'd be virtual, because again, you'll get the link, or if we're going to meet in person. So.
Wonder, are there any that would probably give information on whether doing any sort of hybrid might be possible too. That might, if somebody had real difficulty being there in person, but could do it hybrid, that would be
yeah,
blend.
It would be nice. So like I say, we'll find out what town council tells Robert.
Yeah.
All right. All right. If there's nothing else, I think we're all set. We're hitting the 8 o'clock mark as well. If there's nothing else, can I hear a motion to adjourn the meeting?
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All right. I believe everybody's in favor. All right. And I say thank you very much, everybody.